or the guy on the bike, but I'm not on the bike tonight because we're in the middle of an Arctic vortex here in New York. We're going to run into the Galerie. And I'm going to do a little stroll through of an exhibition by Dennis Hollingsworth. Okay, well, everybody's getting bundled up to go outside. One of the pluses of below zero temperatures is that it's cut down on the number of people standing around in front of the paintings yakking. Let's start looking at this piece. It's titled Looking Back to Look Forward, 2019, 74 by 43 by 73. Well, you viewers know that we visited Dennis's studio. I guess it was the beginning of last summer. Okay, this is oil on canvas over wire and wood. And, well, I think there's also some digital printing in here, so that's a new medium that Dennis is getting involved in. Anyway, if you had seen the studio visit, we actually probably saw a couple of these pieces. This is kind of interesting because Dennis has really kind of expanded his ideas about the stretcher. Here. It's titled Tear It Wide Open, 40 by 43 by 17, oil on canvas. Well, also, I've been commenting about a group of painters, young painters, kind of like Dennis's, I don't know what you call this, almost like canvas feathers that he's got hanging on there. It's almost like a Indian battle shield. I've been commenting on a group of painters that seem to be going with the exuberant use of paint, lots of heavy painting, and using various technical and aesthetic approaches to paint. I guess this is related to a whole movement that's been going on since probably, Barack about 1923 when he started mixing sand and things into his paint. And I think the Europeans, people like Jean Dubuffet and Nicolas de Stagio were doing stuff like that, and he called it the material painting. This is We Are Secrets. And I've mentioned several people that are doing various things with this. We went and saw a show with Dana Schutz recently, and they commented quite extensively about her using a lot of thick paint almost in a sculptural way. Now, I like what Dennis does because I think that, and this is kind of an example, he does a lot of experimenting. I don't know, this might be like a something that he pressed on top of another painting, or maybe had a bunch of masking tape that he had taken off of other paintings while it was still wet and kind of munched this down, smashed this down like a monoprint on top of it. This is 48 by 36. I think we saw this piece or a piece like this in his studio last summer. Okay, I can't find the title for this, but I think it's also 48 by 36. I was talking about what I like about Dennis, and one of the things is that in a way he has an interesting aesthetic, because a lot of this kind of thick actions of paint kind of go beyond the aesthetic and actually approach what I would kind of consider almost like an engineering approach to pigment and paint. This is the largest piece in the show, and I think this is probably about the largest piece I've seen Dennis ever paint. It's called Square Cube 2019. This is 82 by 73. Well, when I was talking about Dennis's use of paint and some of his approaches to the pigment as having almost an engineering sense, some of these things in his cutting the stencils and slapping the paint down, it's almost like an architect would test the strength of concrete or how much weight a particular beam of a particular thickness would hold. Some of the things he's doing with the paint really is a test of the pigment and the medium, various things, and he makes a point of saying that he uses just pure oil paint, so he's not mixing in resins, or he says he doesn't use a dryer either. So you can imagine that some of this stuff takes months to dry off, to cure up enough that you could move it to the gallery. Actually, I like this piece. And we were talking about some of his interesting ideas with stretchers. So what is a stretcher? It's a piece of wood with canvas stretched over it. And okay, so I guess this qualifies. We've got some canvas, we've got some wood.
I found a language, a way to make this, and to make this kind of thing.
Actually, I look at this and I think about great artist Howardina Pindell and some of her experimental paintings that she was doing back in the 70s, where she was cutting strips of canvas and figuring out ways of attaching them. It's titled Give Justice to the Stars. So I think we saw this.
It's right there. Yes, and it's
Okay. Not only is Dennis working with interesting ideas about what a stretcher is and gooping on the paint with a lot of strange technical things, but he's also doing my other thing that I like, which is working with text. This is 25 by 41 by 9.
So we're inviting Gary to your exhibition tomorrow. This is Marcello, the artist.
Congrats.
thank you so much.
It's titled Lines Between Pools.
732. 742.
Oil on canvas and wood.
Gary, we're going. Bye.
28 by 22.
And how long is the show up? How long is your show?
No, it's not one.
You know, also I think you might think that if you're working with these ideas about the structure of a canvas and the qualities, the almost three-dimensional qualities of paint or pigment, that you might not be spending as much time concentrating on kind of the standard problems the painter would have, like color harmonies. But yeah, I think that a lot of these recent works, Dennis has got some pretty good color things happening. Okay, this is an inflated idea about what you can do with a canvas and stretcher. I think I got a picture of him holding this on the visit to the studio. This is titled "So That We Could See," 25 by 25 by 23. Now, I know that one problem whenever I see work like this, and we kind of talked about it when we were at the studio, is that stuff is very, very fragile, especially in that period of time between when you're painting it and when you're sending it out of the studio. So you'd really have to spend some time and have room to store these things. Okay. It's almost like a little memoria. Second order revelation. Okay, Dennis explained a little bit to me about this piece, and that was that I guess he was in Spain somewhere and was walked by a butcher shop and saw that they had these little cups underneath some of the, maybe it was prosciutto, and the little cups were catching the fat that dripped off. And Dennis said that he had a similar problem with some of his oil paint. I guess there was a white that the oil precipitated out and then started to drizzle down the paintings. So he got these little cones to catch the drips of linseed oil. A Fall at the Dawn, 60 by 48. This is 2018. Okay, I think this kind of brings out the more decorative aspect of Dennis's practice. So, yes, I always look at paintings like a forensic crime scene investigator, kind of think about how this would all start to happen. So you can see that little floral shapes kind of recall Matisse. So Dennis would kind of cover his surface with a masking tape, cut away the shapes, peel out those negative spaces, and then start slathering on the paint, and then kind of ripping the paint off, and where you've got the thick blobs, it would kind of, the mask would kind of cut away the sections. Those little barnacles, I think maybe he was calling those monads, something like that, will be added on, or some of them are there when he's working, and they kind of get ripped in half when you peel off the mask. As I said, some nice color things.
I keep wanting to redesign it with storage racks and
It's titled Dazzling Treasure. is another one of Dennis's more extreme experiments with the idea of the stretched canvas, maybe even the idea of the multiple panel piece. Yeah, this is all these seams and the sections that are holding these struts together that are canvas. This is all done with, he said, hot glue. So we've got stars, just, whether that's marijuana leaves or some kind of red maple. Hey, yeah, thanks. You too.
Yeah. I heard you saying that he's like, that's kind of been like, you know, the workout, he has space. Right, turn it into.
Here we've got another one of, I can't find the title in the gallery list here. It's another one of his strip paintings. I think the other thing that I enjoy is that Dennis is a very handy kind of practical carpenter type. I'm sure that, you know, some of the more wealthy artists or artists that are more of the executive type could hire very high-tech woodworking firms to make these kinds of things, but I like the way that Dennis kind of, you know, miters this all together, cuts his joints, gets his wires and sheetrock screws all to fit together. Okay, let's look in the back room. Okay, we'll make a quick sweep over this. Everybody's running home, pulling on their gloves and wrapping their scarves up. Breathing City, 2014, 60 by 48 inches. Okay, now I like the kind of the first layer of the fat squeegeed lines. They've got the stenciling, and it's kind of like a Barnett Newman that someone has let sprout. Got the little green nodes popping out. Phenomenal Wrinkles, 2014. Okay, so if you look and see this striped ground, the yellow and the alizarin crimson, okay, he does that with one sweep, well, maybe a couple of sweeps of a fat palette knife or a squeegee. And then, as I said, he would work on top of that with his other forms. Okay, I think I caught a picture of this at a group show here. I think it was Matter of Color or something like that. Color Matters. It's titled Minerva Serpent, 2015, 48 by 36. And in certain ways, this might be his most heavily painted piece. But also, it's kind of the most regular approach to painting. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if this weighs about 30 pounds, 35 pounds. And we're going to wrap up looking at this little gem. Limitlessness and a Strange Desire, 2015. 48 by 36 inches. Also, I think, although a lot of these paintings are this size, which is kind of a standard, maybe even a small size, easel-sized painting, that Dennis's exuberance and his kind of use of the medium makes them feel like they're much larger. And yeah, you can see that this piece is 2015, so this has been drying for about 3.5 years, and I would say that yeah, it'll probably keep drying for another 15 years with some of these slabs. Well, everybody's gone home. Everybody's getting warm. We're talking to Dennis Hollingsworth. The show is titled Burgeonings, is that? Burgeonings. Okay, well, congratulations. Actually, I'm going to cut this short because everybody's freezing. Let's talk about this painting here. You know, I visited the studio, and I think that this is probably about the largest piece that I've seen that you've done. Is this kind of a new direction for you?
No, it's the biggest painting I could physically make in that studio because of the stairs, the second floor,
Right.
the doors, the angles that you have to get things down in. It's as big as I can make it. So unless I make it in and tile it together into something larger, which is not impossible, but I could do that.
But it's very impressive at this scale. Also, I was thinking that this piece over here, what's the title of this one? Do we have a title for this?
The title's all derived from the weblog. So I use the weblog as a sort of the fertile ground for so you got the titles, and all the titles are hyperlinked.
Tell us what the blog address is.
It's DennisHollingsworth.us.
Okay. And
so-
you've been working on that for 10 years, something like that?
Since 2003, so it's coming up
15.
on an anniversary someday.
Yeah, okay. This is looking back to look forward. And I was going to say, this also is pretty large. And I was noticing, is this digital prints that you've got in here?
No, these
Something-
are paint. This is paint. This is an old painting that I wanted to solve the problem of. What I didn't want to do with this piece was to make the support and then paint on it. Because with this piece, I wanted the paint to sort of precede the support in a certain way. And this was actually a painting that used to be on the panel of that red painting there. I pulled that painting off,
Okay.
deconstructed it into this, because I wanted the paint to precede the actual construction of the support. Something different than what I had been doing the last several pieces we see in this room. So,
Well, I tell you,
paint was there and it's dry.
Yeah,
this looks like a print
It
because
does.
it's actually
It does.
It's actually a blob of caramel paint or something that's dropped on, and you're seeing the forces that they impact.
That's right.
And I take these
They're
knives,
marbleized.
and then I take knives and slice it up off the surface, which is essentially a print. So it's the
Kind of
actual
like
printing.
kind of like a monoprint. Okay, well, everybody's freezing.
Yes.
Congratulations on the show. I'm really intrigued with the new direction the work is going.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so Burgeoning, is that the title of the
We're
show?
burgeoning, we're flourishing, we're burgeoning,
Burgeoning.
we're pulling together, we're not
Thanks.
pulling apart.
Thanks, Dennis. And so that's here at Galerie Richard on Orchard Street. What's the address?
121.
121 Orchard Street here on the Lower East Side. You can like this, share, recommend it to your friends, subscribe, and you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, and reviews below. And we always ask everyone when we get to this part of the show to say, thank you, Kate. Thank you.